money, you're gonna feel different.
Straight up.
You might even, all that other advice I could have gave you, this is the short version. You know, get you a couple dollars, man. You're gonna feel different.
Thanks for that personal. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.
I done seen this dude online quite a few times. Never really stopped to get acquainted with him, familiar with him. Don't really know what he pushed, but it seemed like he done got himself in some trouble. Digitally get touching paper these days, boy, it seem like ain't the thing to do. Going out on a slide, it seem like it ain't the thing to do because of technology. But the constant, consistent, continuous content creation campaign continues in the black box. Y'all just seen this dude face too. We finna learn his name together. I don't really know his name. And with no further ado, we gonna see what this alleged scammer has been up to.
This self-proclaimed alpha male TikToker who bragged about being unemployed just got thrown in prison. Because what started as a flashy, get rich by any means necessary, turned into a federal case. So it's safe to say things really backfired on him.
An Atlanta-based podcaster known for promoting a rich and unemployed lifestyle has been sentenced in a major federal fraud case. According to prosecutors, Jonathan Dupiton orchestrated a scheme to steal millions of dollars in California unemployment benefits during the pandemic, using stolen identities to file fraudulent claims. Authorities say the total loss exceeded $3 million.
Don't you look familiar? It sounds like the charges he got remind me of the same Omni and the Hellcat went up against. But he out already too, so.
So this is Jonathan Dupiton, a podcaster who ran rich and unemployed. And clearly that didn't work out too well for him because now I guess he's maybe rich and imprisoned. Or well, he's about to be, because in January, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail-in wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. So a federal judge sentenced him to 7 years of prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release after he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail-in wire fraud and aggravated identity fraud. And obviously, by the amount of time he got, this wasn't some small-time scam. Because prosecutors are saying this guy, he helped run a scheme that pulled in $3.8 million in unemployed benefits during the pandemic. You know, this was money that was supposed to go help families in need that actually lost their jobs. And this is just so beyond scummy. And there's just so many people who abuse these systems. I mean, I even had investment advice.
They say they just recently put out over 500,000 warrants for PPP loan fraud.
Advisors come up to me and say, hey, we can get you like $60,000 or something like that for you. And I'm sitting there like, I'm a YouTuber. I work from home. I haven't been affected negatively by the pandemic. This money should absolutely go to the people who need it. Now, unfortunately, a lot of it clearly went to people who did not need it whatsoever. And obviously, the people who wanted to help me get these funds, it would have been through a legal way, but it just felt weird and I didn't want to be involved in it whatsoever. But the way this guy got it was nowhere near any type of way I was offered it, because this was bad. So, because according to a U.S. Attorney's Office, during the pandemic, while citizens were struggling with job loss and trying to make ends meet, Dupiton, he stole unemployed benefits by submitting false applications using hundreds of stolen identities. So no, this wasn't some business owner taking way more money out of the system that he needed to.
How they know he did it? I bet you somebody cooperating with him
to pay for wages. No, this was a guy who just stole people's identities and claimed their money for them. That sounds bad enough, but trust me, it gets worse, because the entire operation allegedly started while he was already in the halfway house. What did he do? Fraud. So the guy who was already dealing with the fraud charge just decided to do more fraud. Awesome. You know, because there's nothing like being locked up for fraud, but then doing an even bigger fraud scheme. Like at that point, you're not even laying low. You're just speed running a bigger sentence. Congratulations. And it gets even crazier when you realize this wasn't just something that was quietly happening in the background. No, this guy was very public. This guy had a whole podcast where his motto was, fraud is dope. I'm not joking. This is his public motto. That's not something I like dug up or anything. No, he was very blatant about that being his motto. I guess this is just one of those stories where like the branding, the lifestyle, the actual crime all collide in the most ridiculous way possible. But to really understand how insane all this is, we have to go back to where it all started. So back in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, when millions of people were out of work, the government rolled out an expanded unemployment program to help people survive. So this is essentially emergency benefits, extra payments, easier approvals, and all that. And according to the prosecutors, that's exactly what this guy saw as an opportunity. So instead of applying for benefits like a normal person, he allegedly built a system to mass produce fake claims using hundreds of stolen identities. So according to officials, Dupatin and his group would take personal information from real people.
Y'all, the ones that passed the hardest was the ones already dealing with profiles, stolen identities, and things like that. That was their hustle. When this came around, them the people that hit the biggest. This is like a dream come true for them.
People who had no idea what was going on and used that to file fraudulent unemployed applications through California's system. Then on top of that, they used VPNs to hide where the applications were coming from, masking their actual location and making it harder for investigators to track them down. So once the claims were approved and the money started coming in, that's when the funny business started. So they started changing the addresses of all of these claimants to an address in northern Georgia, including his own address, which doesn't make sense whatsoever. But clearly, this guy's a rocket scientist. It's like, one would think that they would try to be a little bit more careful with where that money's being sent and where the addresses are. You know, maybe an offshore account, maybe a little bit of financial.
Oh my God, no way. His own address, huh? Yeah, he's a genius.
Trickery. Nah, they just threw in the addresses where they literally stayed. Like, are you serious? So they had the cards mailed to them where they were staying, and then once the cards show up, no, they just started hitting ATMs around Atlanta and withdrawing the maximum amount. And I guess this was working very smoothly until prosecutors noticed it all, and that's when they realized $3.8 million had been sent to these addresses, and about $2 million had been withdrawn from various ATMs throughout all of Atlanta. And what's crazy to me as well is the amount of money they spent. They made so much money so quickly, and they just ran through that immediately. And again, all of this was happening in 2020 to 2021 when people really needed that money. And this guy was just withdrawing it in ATMs and just blasting it. And again, the whole operation was ran by a guy who was apparently in the halfway house for fraud. So, you know, no red flags detected whatsoever. But according to court records, Dupatin had already been convicted in an earlier fraud case years before the pandemic even happened.
I remember back in 2013 when I was trying to figure this out. I didn't go outside, bro. I said, you know what, this, bro, going to the club, chilling, hanging out. I thought I was tripping. I had to figure this out, man.
Because, as I mentioned earlier, according to court records, he'd already been convicted just a few years earlier. Well, congratulations. I guess he just figured out how to commit fraud, because just a few years later, around 2014 to 2015, him and his then wife were tied to a scheme involving food assistance benefits, specifically SNAP, which, you know, same general idea. This is money that's supposed to help people, and this guy is just eluding it. Because here, he also used stolen identities to obtain SNAP funds. And that operation also pulled in hundreds of thousands of dollars. So by 2017, he was then convicted and sentenced to 4 years in prison. But then I guess the last bit of that stint was served in the halfway house. And normally you would think that you would chill out a bit after serving 4 years, but I guess not everyone. And I mean, just looking at the whole timeline, you have him being convicted, the sentences, the halfway house, and then immediately another scheme. There's literally no gap here whatsoever. And all while he's being super public on his podcast. And guess what his podcast was about? Beating the system. Okay.
It's because I got you guys' attention. Attention is the new currency. Attention is how you build your brand. Attention is how you build your podcast. Attention is how you bring awareness. Attention is the new currency. Say it. Attention is the new currency. Attention is the new currency. I've been successfully able to keep you guys' attention for a year and a half. I'm Jonathan Dupatin, aka Finesse, aka Mr. Rich and Unemployed. You've seen the podcast, you heard of it. And if you haven't, you probably gonna go home and watch it today. I got over 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, almost 500,000 followers on Instagram. The numbers don't even matter, but I did it. And you can too. But where? Where does this come from?
Spoiler, I guess it comes from crime. I guess this is what a lot of people would call finesse culture, where you have people that are just saying like, yeah, rules are optional, just get bread by any means necessary, until you realize there are actually consequences for your actions. And if you scam people out of money or steal people's identities, you're going to be locked up, because at the end of the day, you just finessed yourself out of some freedom. But again, the worst part of this is his slogan is fraud is dope, which he defined as finally rich after unstoppable determination. So the dude is just stealing people's identities with unstoppable determination. Okay. Who knows though? Maybe at the time he thought this was going to be like some cool slogan to throw in a hoodie, but now clearly it backfired. Because Dupatin is now serving a 7-year federal prison sentence, followed by 3 years of supervised release. And on top of that, he's going to have to pay restitution. With the final amount, that's still going to be declared. So this was a massive net negative for him. He should have never done any of this. And for anyone out there thinking about doing this, yeah, let's not do that, because clearly it will set you back years of your life. Because this dude is probably going to owe the U.S. government something in the tune of $3.8 million now.
If you owe somebody some money, go ahead and pay them back their money. Go ahead and pay these people back their money, man.
And as one official put it, like, this is a case of someone choosing to take advantage of someone's critical safety net. I still don't know why he thought he would ever get away with this, especially when he's sending money to his own residence. Hello? Bro's sending money to his own residence and has an entire online persona essentially promoting fraud. What did he think was going to happen? It's almost like he was begging to go to prison. Like,
yeah, I think we got enough details on this dude. I got some advice for you. Don't be this guy. It's not worth it to flaunt, flex for a spell, spend a stretch in jail. Nah, it's not for me. Maybe for you. Be careful what you do.
Get you some money, you're gonna feel different.
Straight up.
You might even, all that other advice I could have gave you, this is the short version. You know, get you a couple dollars, man. You're gonna feel different.
Wasn't that personal? Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.